Welcome to the All Financial Hour podcast with Steve All.
Steve, you just completed an incredible bucket list item. Tell me all about it.
Well, you know, it's one of those items when I first heard about it, I think 4 to 5 years ago, where they said, what you'll do is you'll go to a ski resort and you'll walk up to the top. Mm-hmm. And you'll do that until you accumulate the, quote, height of Mount Everest, which is 29,029 feet. And it was like, okay, why would anybody do that? That was my thought process along it. And then a lot of the guys with the marketing company that I work with had done it. And it was finally to the point saying, okay, we're going to go ahead and do this. And so I got signed up. I did the training. I said the training was probably most advantageous because of the coaches. Mm-hmm. You know, they took us through. In marathon training, I would usually, you don't run a whole lot on Friday if your long run's on Saturday. You do your long run and then give yourself a day to recover. In this event, you run 7 to 8 miles on Friday, do a 12-hour workout not near the end on Saturday, and then come back and do a 2.5-hour workout on Sunday. So it's 3 long days in a row. So it was a lot of completely different training. So I said the coaching was probably very, very, very important. And when you get to the event, you got the coaches on the hills. You start this thing, and it's a 2,000-foot climb in 1.7 miles. So it averages around 20 to 20+%. But that first part was very steep, and the last 2/10 of a mile was like a 45-degree angle. So it was tough. But the things around mindset. Are you going to go through pain? Yes, expect it. And I can say I hit that third time going up of 15 and my quads tightened up on me. And it's like, whoa. The thought that went through my head was, I'm only 3 into this thing and I got 12 more of these to go and my quads are already giving me problems.
Oh, man.
But see, the coaches said, don't ever give voice to your pain. You can think it. Mm-hmm. But, I just said out loud, it's kind of like, well, I knew I was going to have this. Didn't think it was going to be quite this early. Let's just go ahead and get through this so I don't have to worry about this anymore. And then about 5 minutes later, it happened to my right leg. So I got to the top, took some of we used to call them salt pills when I was a baseball catcher, to help your legs. Took that, didn't really have a lot of problem until about lap 5. And then lap 5, my whole left leg locked up.
Oof.
So I'm standing there on the side of the hill, and that leg, I can't move it up. I can't move it down. I can't go anywhere with it. And then it went away. And then I hit, if those of you that have ran, I hit that runner's high for laps like 6, 7, and 8. They just kind of flew by and felt fantastic the whole time we were doing it. And then at 11 o'clock, we started at 6 o'clock in the morning, and at about 11:55, I got to the top. And I said I wanted to go ahead and walk until midnight. And then I could go to bed. Well, at midnight, I had my 12th of 15 in. So I knew I had 3 more to go. And if I took a nap of about 4 hours, I would have plenty of time. I'd start around 6 o'clock. I'd have almost 12 hours to do 3 laps. So I said, let's just go to bed. So I did that, got up in the morning, started doing it again. And then I'm at the 2,000-foot mark on the last ascent, and the skies opened up.
Oh,
and it
man.
started pouring down rain. So I go up to the red carpet for the final lap, and it is raining pretty good at that point. But then they went down, changed clothes, got warm, came back up, and I watched people do that same thing, walking in that rain for 5 hours to 6 hours. And making that choice to continue to move. Because that's what they told us. They said the first 5, you can do that on motivation.
Sure.
Second 5, commitment. The last 5 is a choice. And just keep making that choice to move forward. And that's what I believe was the biggest for myself. I think I was physically prepared to go. The mental preparation, the coaches were very advantageous in that. But the people at this event were just phenomenal. Just phenomenal. The community is unbelievable. I get done, people ask the question, would you do it again? I said, yeah, I do plan on doing it again. I said, I'd like to do the one out in Whistler. 2025. So there goes that daggone commitment one more time.
Hey, you've said it, and now it's
You
real.
know, and because I talked to somebody, I said, well, I want to do the New York Marathon. They said, well, you don't think you'll be in good enough shape if after you do Whistler to do the New York, 3 months later? And I went, I guess that is kind of true, because I'm in the best condition I think I've ever been in my entire life. But to me, having those coaches that have done this before help us get through these things is what made this event that is very demanding. I mean, I didn't realize I had blisters on the bottom of my feet until I got done. And you didn't realize how much your legs hurt until you were done. So it was for that. But it's the people that helped me get here was the most tremendous part of that entire event.
Absolutely. You talked about, just the physical, toll that it took on you. It's a physical, mental, and emotional experience, but with the support of those around you, that's how you got through it. And of course, like you said, you've been training and following the coaching for all of this. And, hearing you talk about this for weeks, and as you said, following the coaching and the guidance of the professionals out there, I mean, really, if you flip the script here, this is essentially what you do for people planning for retirement.
Yeah, it is 100%. As I like to tell people, most of the time, the people that we sit down and talk to, we're retirement planning, full retirement plan. Our job is to help walk you through retirement. It's going to be your first and possibly only time that you're going to retire. And we've walked with a lot of people doing it. A lot of those questions that people have, the ones around, how am I going to replace my paycheck in retirement? How much risk should I take? Am I taking too much risk? Am I not taking enough risk? All those things that come along after that are the most important things. And it's our job to walk with you while you're doing that, not for you to do it all by yourself. And that, to me, was the lesson I learned at 29.
Now, Steve, let's be honest here. Planning to sit down with somebody like yourself or a member of the team can be overwhelming and daunting. Let's explain to our listeners, what's that first appointment like?
The first appointment is more about, for me, is, what are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What are you going to retire to? I think that's the question a lot of people don't answer for their own self. What are you going to retire to? I know we'll have a couple sitting down there. Okay, what's retirement look like for you? And they kind of look at each other like, I want to go see the grandkids and travel, and I want to play golf and do this. They're really not on that same page at that point. And I think that's having a plan of what I'm going to retire to is very important. What are your wishes, hopes, and dreams? What's on that bucket list of things that you wanted to do that you haven't done yet? I think those are the amazing things. Yes, we have the data collection forms. We're going to need your statements. We're going to figure out where you're at with Social Security. Do you have pensions? What kind of expenses is it going to take you? What's your lifestyle cost? Those are the things that we go through. We have used our paraplanner in there with every appointment that comes in. So the advisor's there and a planner is there because it's his job to just kind of build the plan. And then we all talk about it as a group. And when you come back for that second appointment, we're going to give you that summary of plan, that kind of 30,000 foot view of where you're at. And then you can look at it and say, I'm okay here. I'm okay there. I might need some help in this part. And I believe that's what we're there for, is to help you get your wishes, hopes, and dreams in retirement.
Now, Steve, there have been a lot of debates recently over how aggressive the Fed should be when they cut rates at their next meeting. And you have wealth advisor Victoria Fernandez. She recently told CNBC that they really need to just take it slow.
25 makes a lot of sense for this first cut. We are not in a recession at this point in time. We actually thought we would be by now, but the consumer has held up strong enough in order to sustain the economy. I just don't think they want to get ahead of themselves, cut too much, and then fan the flames of inflation by getting demand stoked higher than where it is. So I think they're going to take their time.
Okay, interesting. Well, falling interest rates mean lower returns for fixed income assets like CDs and those guaranteed income products like annuities we've been talking about here. So is there still time to take advantage even after the cutting begins, Steve?
I agree with Victoria a lot. I'm hoping they don't jump in and do 0.5%. You guys reacted way too slow, in my opinion, in raising them. And then you had to kind of overjump everything. But the idea around it is I agree that let's bring it down slowly. So it's not like, okay, let's take a half, fan the flames of inflation again, and then have to raise them back up. So I do agree with that statement. And then we look at it, higher interest rates are more of a pain for the younger generation because they're buying houses. They're buying cars. They have debt. When we start to look at higher interest rates, is actually more advantageous for those of us that are older and in those retirement years are already retired. Why? Because CD, fixed income rates, are higher. Money markets are higher. Now, those are going to start dwindling down. Mike and Kim had come into the office. They had some annuities that they had purchased like 3 to 4 years ago. And they looked at it and said, these have underperformed in their opinion. What could we do to change it? And then we looked at it. Well, when you bought those, the interest rates were pretty low. And those interest rates are now a lot higher. And the caps are higher. And the potential for gain is higher. So if you're in that situation that you bought a fixed index annuity around 3 to 4 years ago, you could come in and let us do an analysis around it, and we could look at it and say, might it make sense to move that to a product that's got these higher interest rates in them so they have higher caps, higher participation rates. Mm-hmm. If I need income, it's going to cost me less to buy that same thing. So I believe that there is that good thing about that. Now, if you bought it 4 years ago, you might only have 6 years left on a surrender period. You might have to accept a longer surrender period. But if you're looking at a long-term investment, I believe that it could be very advantageous to look at things like that right now. So if you have an annuity that you believe is underperforming, call, ask for the annuity x-ray. Let's do a sit down and let's try to figure out, would it make sense for you to possibly replace that with a different product that could give you higher potential for earnings in the future.
All right, Steve, what's the one thing many Americans fear more than death? What do you think it is?
Speaking in public.
Yes, that is a very, very common answer. Very common answer.
Most people would rather be in the coffin than give the eulogy.
Exactly, right? On the other side of the dirt, right? Well,
right.
It turns out it's not public speaking. It actually is retirement. There was a recent survey that found that 61% of working Americans, they're more afraid of retiring than they are dying. So it got me thinking here, when we are trying to help people be confident in retirement, like in today's show, and when you sit down one-on-one with individuals, what do you see as the issue here?
I see it as those two big questions that almost everybody has. When can I retire? And will I run out of money? Because that fear of running out of money is what gets that idea of I would rather die than retire because I don't want to be a burden to my children. And I think a lot of people just don't have that idea of where they're at. I like to tell the story because a lot of people say, well, I don't have X number of dollars. And I tell a story. I said, I had a doctor that came in. He had $2.7 million in investable assets. And I had another couple that came in that had between $500,000 to $600,000 in investable assets. And we ran the analysis and did the work for both of them. The doctor couldn't retire. He was not a happy camper. I said, you're spending about $250,000 a year. Almost all of your money is in IRA accounts, so it's going to cost you a lot to take that out. Unless we get a 10 to 12% return, you can't retire. He was not happy when I told him that. Now, the couple with $500,000 to $600,000 had a normal type of a lifestyle. They had a pension, their Social Securities. Between those, they almost completely covered all of their expenses. They were actually be saving money when they retired. And they went, I can turn on my pensions and Social Security and still save a little bit of money? And it was like, yes, you don't have to, but you can. I said, the battle that you could possibly have is inflation further on down the road, when expenses get higher. But they had sufficient assets to be able to do it. And they thought they were going to have to work for 5 to 10 more years. So if you're in that category where you're really not sure, can I retire? What's the probability of me having a successful retirement? Come in. Let us run the full retirement analysis. We're going to run that Monte Carlo system that basically says we're going to run 1,000 examples and find out what your percentage of a probability of a successful retirement would be. And then it gives us that added peace of mind that we're going to be okay in our retirement. So if you're asking yourself that question, can I retire? Will I run out of money? Call now. Ask for the comprehensive retirement plan. Allow myself or a member of my team to assist you in making a decision so you can walk through that fear of running out of money.
Steve, I did what I always do. I turned to our friends at YouTube and try to find some content for the show. I found a list here that says if you have these 5 things in place for retirement, you're probably much better off than you think. Here's the list. Number 1, you're not interested in status, right? You don't care about keeping up with the Joneses. Number 2, you live below your means. Smart. Number 3, your house is paid off and you have little or no debt. Number 4, you have an emergency fund outside retirement funds. And number 5, you have sizable Social Security or possibly a pension. What are your thoughts on this?
That's a tremendous list.
Tremendous, but how realistic is what I want to know.
Very, very, very realistic. So I look at it for ourselves. You know, our average client is between $750,000 and about $2.5 million. We have clients that are below that amount, and we have clients that are above. But I'd say average is in that category. Most of our clients own their own home, or they're very close to paying off that home. Little to no credit card debt. Most of them are the ones that, I use a credit card, but I pay the bill at the end of the month. They're not carrying a balance or anything like that. So I agree with that. 2 cars. Most of the time, the cars are paid off, and they're not the big, expensive cars. They're just the regular cars, and they, as they put it, live below their means. They've lived like nobody else. They saved money for their own retirement. Mm-hmm. Now, when they hit their retirement years, they get to live like nobody else. And I think that's the most important thing that we look at. And we come in and we sit down with people and we look at those things. Because most people have this, I got to have X or I got to have Y to retire. My statement's always the same. If you're in this category and you're not sure where you're currently at, and if you're looking for somebody to help walk with you in your retirement years, give us a call. Ask for that comprehensive retirement plan. Let's look at income planning, how you can replace that paycheck. Let's look at taxes. A lot of people didn't think they were going to pay taxes in retirement, but I believe the tax rates are going to go up. We're going to look at that legacy planning. A lot of the people that we deal with are going to be leaving assets to their children. Why don't they leave them as tax efficient as possible? Let's look at that stuff now. Give us a call. Ask for that comprehensive retirement plan.
Thanks for listening to the All Financial Hour podcast.
Insurance products are offered through the insurance business All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG. All Financial Group, LLC is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through Impact Partnership Wealth, LLC, IPW, a registered investment advisor. IPW does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not subject to investment advisor requirements. IPW and All Insurance Group, LLC, AIG are not affiliated companies. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. All Financial Group, LLC is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by All Financial Group, LLC.
This radio show is intended for information purposes only.